Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Connect, Share, Prosper. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with Chaz Wilson. Chaz, so what's the topic today?
Well, Chris, I am excited because I want to talk about why networking and why build a network. It came up recently at an event I spoke at, and I said, why do we network?
Yeah.
And, everyone keeps telling me I need to build a network, and network is my and all that stuff, right?
Nice buzzword.
Yeah. So, but why build a network? I spoke at a Chamber of Commerce yesterday, and I said to that group something that I think is really important as far as why building a network. And so that's why I wanted to bring that topic today. How quickly some of us have forgotten, 2007 to 2010-ish.
Yep.
For a lot of us, we had a market recession, national recession, have personal recessions that come up.
Yeah.
Right? And it's in that moment is not the time to go, man, I wish I had a larger network.
Yeah.
That's why I build it now. So a lot of us are kind of getting lazy because business is good for most places and most people.
Yep.
And now's the time to really go build a big, strong network.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
right.
the key.
You said there's, when we were talking beforehand, you said there are like 3 techniques that people can use to improve their networking. So give me some of those right now. Yeah.
So what I shared with this group, I think is so important so if we're clear on why we need to build our network, to insulate us, to keep us protected in some ways, we need strength. How do I go do that? So I gave three things. One is something that, and other people have talked about it in other books and other things. And the first place I heard about it was in a book called The Ultimate Selling Machine by Chet Holmes. And he talks about something called his Dream 100. And that's really a list of 100 people who are people you want to sort of get into their circle. So where it started was he worked in the advertising space for a magazine. And what he found out was they were spending all these dollars marketing out to people to be advertisers. When he looked back over the last couple of years, it was kind of the same 100 businesses were always the same advertisers, 120 people. So he said, why don't we spend more of our focused dollars on adding more value to those people, and we could maybe get all 100 every month kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah.
Seen them out. And so it's that concept. And so how you do it, in fact, I moved it before we started, but I'm going to move my camera for those who are watching this, but I've got white sheets up on my door, and I've made my lists again to kind of reset my next Dream 100. And I did it is I sort of separated it out. I did like 25 business influential people, 25 bloggers, 25 podcasters, 25, in the business space. And I make a list of their names specifically. And then I want to go out and send a letter and add value to them every single month. I might send them a copy of 5+1 signed copy. I might then send Prosper Magazine. All I'm trying to do is make them aware of who I am and add value to them. I'm not going in going, hey, send me something.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
I love that.
I want to get on their radar. That's what I want. And if I look back, one of my mentors, Dave Jenks, who I've talked about a few times in this podcast, that's actually how I connected with him. Is I sent out a list, about 15 people. I knew their names. I wrote them on a board, sent them an email, said, hey, I'd love the opportunity to connect with you. He's the only one of all of them replied. And look how that has changed my path. You don't need all 100 of them. And I promise they won't all reply. They won't all even, communicate with you. Yeah. But some of them will.
Right.
You need one. So that's the first step, Chris, is the Dream 100 and building that in a database and having a systematic way to market to those people.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why that's important as well is that we're all trying to get attention.
Yep.
And why not get attention from people who already have a lot of attention and get into that circle, right?
Yeah. I love the thought though behind this of that there's some real intention and strategy. Like it's not just, I think networking can start to feel like a pattern and a routine. And we just, okay, I'm going to go to the chapter, I'm going to go to an event and I'm going to see who's there. And we just it's a reactionary path to trying to network versus you're talking about being very specific and intentional about who you want in that circle.
That's right. And thinking big, like that's the other part of this. Think big, think people who have followers and influence and they've got eyeballs that watch them and so forth. So
yeah, I want to say on that too, because as you say that, what I hear in the back of my head is our objections that people will have, like, well, but those guys wouldn't respond to me. Those guys are too big. Those guys, they would never listen to me. Who am I?
Yeah. Dave Jenks would never reply to me.
Right.
This little guy in Minnesota has got this idea of a business. He'd never reply to me. Johnny Quinn was a pro Olympian. He'd never speak at our event. Tim, Hall of Fame football player, he'd never speak at our event. They all did, right? Chad Hymas, Fame, Speaking Hall of Fame, National Speaker Association Hall of Fame. He's not going to speak at our little event. He did. So I think if we stay in the mindset, then of course no one will ever communicate with us and they won't reach out to us. What's the worst that happens if you reached out to 100 people?
Yeah.
Different than you were to start with.
None of them respond. Okay, so move on.
Yeah, and
or stay at it.
Yeah, right. So I think there's kind of different levels to this. There's this dream 100 of people that are kind of, way up there that I'm kind of reaching for, and I get that. And then there's sort of this kind of this top 20 list of people local that I want to do that with.
Yep.
And the best way to do that is a little variation of what Michael Mayer talks about in his book, 7 Levels of Communication, which is a stack. We call it the face-to-face stack. It's a real tangible way to maximize my time when I'm networking. And so the example I used yesterday was, I said there was a property and casualty insurance guy in front of me. I said, listen, if I came into this town and I was going to build relationships, this is exactly how I would do it. I'd find my local favorite restaurant. I'd kind of camp out there. And at 10 o'clock, I'd have the property insurance guy come in. And at 11, I'd have the realtor come in. And when the realtor's leaving, I'm going to introduce the two. Like when the insurance guy's leaving, I'm going to introduce him to the realtor. And the realtor, right after that, I'm going to have a home inspector show up. And when the realtor's leaving, I'm going to introduce the home inspector. And now I've created this little synergy, this little network within people. I've maximized my time over 3 hours, and I've made those connections.
So this is actually the second technique we're speaking of, right? Which is stacking.
Correct.
Stacking your one-on-ones, face-to-faces.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So you're building that list. You got your Dream 100. You're hoping to, if you could get a face-to-face with a Dream 100, that's huge. A lot of times it's just a phone call because they may live other places. But then with the local group, I want to try to do face-to-face stack and get as many of those people into my world as I can. When I'm with them, though, I'm using the bond method.
Yeah.
That's the key. I'm going to use the bond method because I don't want to just get there and talk. I want to, hey, let's build on something common. Let's go through occupation exploration. Tell me about how you got started. Then needs discovery is the big piece because that's where the magic is that occupation exploration transition into needs.
Yeah.
What do you need? Who are you looking for? That's a question I love. People miss that. Who are you looking for? Mm-hmm. I said that to the group yesterday, and the guy came up to me afterwards. He said, I've never really thought to ask that. Who are you looking for? Because I said, yeah, think about it. You're part of this chamber of commerce. There's 100 people in the room.
Yeah.
Somebody who they're looking for. I bet one of them's in this room, and you could make that connection. And that would be then the develop opportunities. So those are 3 tactics that you could use right away to start building your network.
Yeah.
And go big.
I think too. So we've kind of covered some ways to improve network. I think what stands out for me is that I just did a video on this morning, but it's so easy to go try to create the next thing. And so we have all these unfinished projects in our lives or in our businesses. And what you're describing to me is having a project called networking and going deeper on perfecting that versus adding additional, like, oh, let's do some Facebook ads and then let's try some YouTube stuff. And we get so spread so thin, we're an inch deep and a mile wide that we haven't mastered anything. Well,
so I just, a great point. I just did a Facebook poll to my private group, coaching group. And I said, tell me what the biggest struggle you're having right now in your business is. The top 2, which I'm going to talk about on a later podcast, the top 2 were lead generation, leads, and coming up with my value proposition. And so what happens is people look at networking as a separate project, but it falls within lead generation. Just as sometimes a longer play, if you will, because building trusted relationships. So people kind of put that off as, well, everyone says I need to do it, but why?
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to be more relational than transactional long-term. Because again, as I started this out, if I'm a relational, I'm locking arms with people. I'm building this network. I'm protecting protecting my network. They know I'm protecting them. So when things get tight, hard, rough, I got this big, strong group that I've locked arms with, and we've protected each other. We're going to continue. And I just don't think people see it that way. I think they're seeing, well, what can I get out of this right now? What if you got nothing out of it right now, but 3 years from now, you really need that network? They're there.
Yeah. It's good, man. That's that really, I think that challenges people's current perspectives around what relationships are for. Right. Like if a relationship's here to give me something today, that's going to change the way I show up, versus if I'm like, how can I keep adding value to the group so that there's trust and respect and loyalty and whatever.
Well, because everyone's trying to measure the ROI on it right now. What's the return on investment right now out of this group, out of this network, out of this relationship? I mean, I don't put the ROI on the relationship at all. I don't know what it's going to be. I never know what it's going to be. It doesn't matter. As long as I have more and more relationships that I'm trying to add value to. I mean, the truth is, Chris, that's the whole reason I'm doing this podcast.
Is what?
Yeah, because I want to add more value to more people and build a network. That's it. I mean, we're doing what I don't know. This is episode 13.
Yeah.
Episode 13. I don't think I've sold anything. I've asked for a sale at all on any episode. That's not the point.
Right.
I'm trying to add value, right? So I think if we always look at how can we add value to our network, it gets bigger, stronger.
Yeah. So good. I love it. Last parting words of wisdom on improving our networking skills.
First, do it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we can talk about it all day long, but if I don't put it on my calendar and make what I tell people is pick one day. So a lot of people who are part of Master Networks, let's say in my chapter meetings on a Thursday, why not just plan half the day every Thursday to be my networking face-to-face stacks? Then I'm intentional and on purpose on stacking those up, getting them set up, doing them every week. Way for me to build. I mean, in 3 or 4 hours in 1 week, you could think about how many, 4 times 4, 16, 12 to 16 new relationships you could enter into every month that will be more connection than sending out a bunch of emails.
Yeah.
Right. So just be deliberate, be intentional, be purposeful, and that's how you'll have an impact. So just get started, put it on your calendar and get going on it.
Love it. Chaz, if people want to find out more about Master Networks, where can they go?
Yeah, well, we hope you will. We hope you'll reach out to us because we're building a big, strong network across the country, and it will be important because we're not just building chapters, we're building a network.
Yeah.
So you can go to masternetworks.com and click on contact us, find a chapter, start a chapter, whatever it might be, and we'll be here to help you. I got a whole team of amazing people that can support you.
Awesome. Love it. Great episode, Chaz. I'll catch you in episode 14, and we'll take it up from there.